All right, this is Sports Mashup number 48, 48th edition, of course. January 26th, 2022 is the date of this edition. Starting in the NBA, where we had some extension news. James Jones, general manager of the Phoenix Suns, who I thought was not doing a very good job for a little bit there, his first season and a half in Phoenix after – I think the Chris Paul trade really changed everything. Obviously, they made it to the finals last season. They're 37-9 this season. Even though everybody wants to talk about the Warriors and the Grizzlies, the Suns just 37-9, no big deal. He's been there since 2019. Like I said, I think the Chris Paul deal really changed everything for him. And it was a deal that I was not that in favor of if they had to give up somebody like Cam Johnson or Mikal Bridges, which they did not. And it's been successful not having to give up those two.
Yeah, and I know. Was it his first year when they drafted Ayton?
That sounds right. I don't remember the exact timeline, but that sounds right. And Ayton was the obvious choice in that spot. I know Luka and Trae Young went after him, but Ayton has turned out to be pretty good. And Ayton,
by the time, I think a lot of people were disappointed in the pick.
Yeah, and Ayton's another guy that's been changed by Chris Paul. Chris Paul has made Ayton a lot better.
Yeah. I just know, like, when they drafted him, Suns fans weren't very happy.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people probably wanted a point guard at the time, and Luka could have been a guy like that. And I think people had doubts about him though, coming into the draft. But Ayton's turned out to be pretty good, so it's worked out.
And then you got Anthony Davis back after missing 17 games with his knee. Zach LaVine returns after missing 5 games. I believe it was his knee as well.
It seems like Anthony Davis is like the only way the Lakers season is saved, right? If he comes back and stays healthy and plays well.
Yeah, I mean, they bench Westbrook for a game.
Is Westbrook going to get traded?
Next game he goes off.
I mean, I saw something about Westbrook for John Wall.
I just don't understand them signing him because both of those guys, him and LeBron, always want the ball.
Ball dominant, yeah.
So, I don't know how you fit that in. It's kind of like with Harden and Kyrie and Durant.
It's a little bit different.
Which is weird when you see, Harden's the one that brings the ball for them and not Kyrie.
Yeah, I wonder if a lot of that's like continuity in the offense and the fact that Harden's played a lot of the season there and Kyrie has not played very much.
It's just weird watching it.
But in terms of ball dominance, Westbrook is not a good match with LeBron. That's Westbrook and LeBron is a way worse fit than KD and Westbrook were because KD is not as ball dominant as LeBron. LeBron is a guy that can run the point and has.
Because KD's a guy who will come off screens and get his own shot.
Yeah, John Wall's a much better fit than Westbrook. But if that happens, what happens to Westbrook? Because there's no way he's going to actually play for the Rockets.
Yeah. You think he's going to want to go back there?
I think he'd get bought out by the Rockets and then somebody would sign him. I don't know who would sign him, but somebody probably would. But that's been a disaster.
Listen to this proposed offer, supposedly from the 76ers. It would be for the Warriors to receive Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Andre Drummond.
Okay.
The Sixers would receive Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, and 2 future first-round picks.
I mean, that's a horrible deal for the Warriors. That would be terrible. Jordan Poole is a stud. They're not trading Draymond Green in season.
Well, I don't know. Right before this, as I was watching this game, they were talking about it because he's been hurt, and the trade deadline is next Tuesday, I think.
I just don't see them moving on from that vital of a piece, even if he doesn't stay healthy in the season. And Kuminga is a guy, I don't know when he's going to get a real chance. But yeah, Ben Simmons would not be a good fit for the Warriors.
No, I mean that was also Saturday.
Wiggins is not a guy you want to trade in that deal either, I don't think.
No, I mean Tobias Harris would replace Draymond. Like he'd play in his spot.
And Simmons, Curry's not going to give up the ball to Ben Simmons. I mean,
no, and you already have Clay's back.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
That might make more sense. I mean, other than what the Sixers wanted in that. If Clay wasn't back and you had Ben Simmons at like the 2 or 3 or the backup point guard,
I guess, but is it worth that big of a trade to make him your backup point guard?
that's what I'm saying. Like, that would have had to get restructured because there's no way they're getting 3 players, giving up 4, and then 2 future first-round picks.
They think Ben Simmons is Scottie Pippen or something. So I don't know. The Sixers have no clue what the value is.
And Andre Drummond's not the same Andre Drummond that he was in Detroit.
No, he's not. Not even close.
And Tobias Harris has always been a role player for.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of did that in college.
He had a couple really, really good seasons with Orlando.
He played at Gonzaga, right?
Where did Tobias Harris play? I don't remember where he played. I don't think he played at Gonzaga, but I could be wrong. Tennessee. He's in college a long time ago. 2011.
Getting 3, giving up 4 and 2 first-round picks. There's no way.
Yeah, no shot.
I mean, if they actually sent that to the Warriors, I'm sure like the GM and Steve Kerr like laughed.
Yeah.
And they just sent a no back.
Yeah, I think the Pistons are a much more realistic destination for Simmons, given their flexibility and the fact that they're not good right now. I think that would make more sense.
And then lastly with the NBA, the Grayson Allen foul on Caruso.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing here is the history, you know?
Yeah, but in the game, I don't know how they were able to call that a flagrant 2. Like, he went at the ball, unless they were just basing it off of his right hand coming back around.
I mean, it was a really hard foul, and I think that in the way that they officiate the NBA these days, especially upon reviewing things rather than real time, I knew that would be a flagrant.
I could have seen it maybe being a 1, but a 2 and him get ejected in that.
Is that like a 1 and then you're like, oh, it's Grayson Allen, look at what he's done, what he did at Duke and some of the things he's done in the NBA, flagrant 2.
I mean, we don't.
You think they've taken?
Duke.
He did some pretty, not good things.
The NBA refs are thinking that hard or that far back.
Well, there's always like influences from like New York probably in their ear or people at the table, you know.
Remember what this guy did 8 years ago when he tripped that one guy at Duke?
You know, the when people think about Grayson Allen, they think of him as a dirty player. I mean, that's what they think.
Some people.
I think the majority of basketball fans do, based on what I saw on Twitter. I mean, and the Bucks are stupid for having that tweet the next day saying good morning and it was like a Grayson Allen gif or something. Like, how stupid do you have to be, especially given the fact that Caruso is now out for a couple months because of this. And that's just stupid. And honestly, I tweeted this. They should be stripped of the title. It should be given to the Suns for that, in my opinion. But
he wasn't even on the team last year.
He's on the team now. So that kind of behavior on Twitter, strip the title, give it to the Suns.
Like, not even me being a Duke fan and everything, I saw it as a hard play at the rim. Like one guy coming across the lane to jump to block a guy going up for a dunk. I just saw it as a hard foul that we used to always see, and now it's your ejection.
It's not that surprising given the state of basketball, though. So,
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, now it's, 10 years ago, that was a fine play. And there might have even just been a little fight, and maybe a little small fine would have went to each person. Now you're ejected. Probably got a big fine for getting ejected.
Only a 1-game suspension, though. Really not too bad.
Probably got a fine with it.
Yeah. What can you do? I mean, they make a lot of money, so. All right, let's get the NFL out of the way. The Bengals, they win.
Before we get to this, I had 2 things for the NFL before we got into the games.
All right.
The career postseason wins versus NFC teams. Brady and Rodgers both have 10. Years spent as a starter in the NFC. Tom Brady 2, Aaron Rodgers 14.
Well, the Super Bowl, that's, 6 for Brady right there. So makes sense.
And then he had 1 this year.
Three last year, and then the Eagles. Washington, New Orleans, Green Bay, Philly.
Yep.
And then what? Atlanta, Seattle. Who else did they beat? Did they beat
the Colts or no?
They beat the Rams, right? And
yeah.
Did they beat
when Dyson almost reached over the end zone?
They beat Philly too, right? 04 or something.
Yeah.
And then lost to the Giants.
Sure, they beat the Giants at one point in the play.
I don't think they beat the Giants in the Super Bowl. I'm trying to think of NFC teams that would have gotten there and had the opportunity to lose to them. Okay, so you have St. Louis, Philly, Atlanta, Seattle. That's 4. They beat the Rams again. That's 5 because McVay, got on his hands and knees to say how great Belichick was before that game and then scored 3 points. I don't remember who the 6th one is, though. Did they beat damn it, who am I thinking of? If you rule out all the other NFC teams, like Seattle, they didn't beat them twice. I think they beat them once, right? Never played San Francisco, beat the Rams twice. Why is this so much harder than I thought?
He has more NFC playoff wins than the Niners, the Saints, the Giants, the Panthers, the Rams, the Bucks, the Falcons, the Cardinals, and the Vikings.
Huh.
Niners have 9, Saints have 9, Giants 8, Panthers 8, Rams 7, Bucks 6, Falcons 6, Cardinals 5, Vikings 5.
The 6th team that I was thinking of for the Super Bowl, I believe, was the Carolina Panthers. So it's Panthers, Eagles, Rams, Seahawks, Falcons. Those are the 6 teams he's beaten in the Super Bowl. And the other 4 teams are, Green Bay last year, Philly this year, New Orleans last year, Washington last year. Nailed it. And
Rams in Super Bowl 36, Panthers in 38, Eagles in 39, Seahawks in 49, Falcons in 51, and then the Rams in 53.
Yep. All right.
So there's your 6, and then the 4 at Tampa.
Yeah. So the Bengals beat.
And then my other one. If going into Sunday's game, Derrick Henry, number 22, he will return on the 22nd day of the year 2022 in the 22nd year since the Titans' last Super Bowl appearance. I thought for sure that meant the Titans were going to win that game.
They fell flat on their face. And the Bengals, despite Joe Burrow being sacked 400 times, win the game 19-16. Evan McPherson, who has been great rookie season, other than that one game where him and Mason Crosby were trading misses in Cincinnati like week 5. He's been tremendous. He wins it. And the Bengals are moving on.
And the fact he called that he was going to win it when he saw Burrow when he was going onto the field.
Which, if he would have missed it, we wouldn't have heard about that. But, it's a fine story.
Well, no, and then the Bengals tweeted, "That's why you draft a kicker."
Yeah, I think it doesn't work out in most instances, but it's worked out so far here. And
the Bucks, they drafted that guy from Florida State who has the NCAA record for field goal percentage, and then he didn't do it. He was horrible in the NFL.
Yeah, and
then the Bucks they draft Matt Gay, and then he hasn't lasted there very long. He loses to Suck Up 2 years ago, and then he kicks the game-winning field goal to beat them.
Yep. And how the hell was he short on a 47-yarder? What the hell happened there? It's unbelievable, Matt Gay. But before we get into that, the Packers' annual choke came a little bit earlier than expected this year. They completely fell apart on offense after the second drive and a fumble. Defense played great, only gave up 6 points. Special teams came back to bite them. They've been terrible all season. But the bottom line is, if you allow 0 offensive touchdowns in a home playoff game and you lose, it's just a joke, and you deserve to lose. So I don't know what the future holds. I know they're going to the offseason $40 million over the salary cap. I'll discuss the Rodgers thing when we get to it, but very disappointing loss.
I mean, I wasn't able to watch much of either of the Saturday games because I didn't have the remote. Somebody else did. And I was watching the Bengals game, and then the remote got taken and had to watch something else.
It's unfortunate.
So I missed both these other than when I got to pick up dinner, and I watched a little bit of the Packers-Niners game. I just it was a slow game. It didn't seem like a Packers offensive game.
The weather got a lot worse as the game went on, which shouldn't matter. The Packers have talked about so many times, we got to be at home. We got to have it at Lambeau. The bottom line is teams really have not been afraid to play at Lambeau in December or January since the NFC title game in 2007. So
I wanted a rematch of last year's NFC title game.
I thought we might get that. I think a lot of people thought that down the stretch of the season, but just didn't show up on offense.
You guys got a lot of your guys back healthy. The Bucs had Fournette and Levante David guys back. They were out Tristan Wirfs, which really hurt them.
Yep. One of the dumbest things the Packers did in this game was Billy Turner playing left tackle was just a stupid move. Bakhtiari couldn't play, fine. Billy Turner's been great at right tackle all season. You just throw Josh Nijman at left tackle, you're fine. Last year in the NFC title game, Billy Turner at left tackle was atrocious. So now you're just going to put him in there in a playoff game against Armstead on the inside, and then you have Bosa on the other side.
Bosa came back for this game, right?
Yeah, he destroyed Dennis Kelly all night. So Turner and Nijman on your right side and left side on the offensive line is 100 times better than Kelly and Turner. And they decided to go with Kelly and Turner, which they did not do all season until this game. Such a stupid move. Killed them on offense. They had no rhythm after the first drive. The first drive was great. Went right down the field, scored a touchdown. Second drive, they kept going. Then Mercedes Lewis fumbled.
It was like 7 plays, 90 yards.
The first drive was right down the field. And I feel like Rodgers forced it to Devontae a little bit too much, and he missed some reads that he doesn't usually miss. I think this game is a lot about the offense and a lot about the coach and a lot about special teams. So this is also a failure.
This is also a game where you miss your tight end, Tunyon.
Yeah. Weren't able to stretch the field.
And I was surprised, he got hurt, week
Arizona week 7 or 8.
I thought he might have been able to make it back.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one.
Well, especially after Cam Akers came back so quick.
Cam Akers came back from an Achilles in 4 months. So, I mean, what can you do? But speaking of the Rams and Cam Akers, I mean, the Rams were controlling the game for the majority. Then the Bucs made a bit of a comeback. The Rams tried to let the Bucs – they tried to hand it to them with how many fumbles they had. It was ridiculous.
27-3, and they come back to tie it with 42 seconds left.
Yeah, I feel like one flaw in the McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur type coaching is that down the stretch they seem to really fumble all over the place with decisions. We saw Shanahan kind of do some of that stuff against the Cowboys. McVay kind of did that here, even though I'm not going to blame McVay for the fumbles, but they just coached kind of scared in a lot of situations.
Yeah, and I was hoping when Fournette broke out on that last touchdown, he had a first down. I was hoping he would just take it to the pylon and run out of bounds and give him first and goal at the half-yard line.
Yeah, I mean –
just to waste time so
yeah, they couldn't guard Cooper Kupp, busted coverage on that last play.
You go all out blitz or whatever, so Winfield starts running up, and then Cooper Kupp runs past him.
I think a lot of that – I think people might try to blame Todd Bowles for that, but I think a lot of that goes to Arians over anybody on that play.
Yeah, just and Winfield's got to know he's got to cover somebody.
Yep. Great throw by Stafford, too. Put it exactly where he had to. Good for Stafford. I mean, the Lions are so relevant that I don't hate them, but he was definitely stuck there forever. And he's good. I think that people tend to overrate him a little bit during the regular season, but he's a quarterback you can win with. And the Rams have gone completely all in on this season. They have 2 draft picks in the 5th and 7th round in this draft. So, I mean, good for Stafford, happy for a guy like him who's been stuck in Detroit forever and finally gets a chance to get to the Super Bowl.
I didn't understand the penalty on Sue after he hit Stafford.
Yeah, I didn't agree with that call. I hate Sue, but I didn't agree with that call.
Like, those guys, former teammates, they were drafted around the same time.
Yeah. They were both supposed to be like the anchors of each side of the ball in Detroit.
Yeah.
Both good, too, in Detroit, but couldn't fill the winning team.
I wish Sue was mic'd up, or somebody, either of them were, because I'd like to hear what was said, because Sue looked like he was joking around with him, and they didn't even touch each other or anything, and he got flagged.
Yeah, I don't know. Just weird officiating, but the classic game was the Chiefs and the Bills.
Well, I called it too. Is after the Bucs scored, right when they kicked it off, I'm like, they're going to come down. It's going to be another game-winning field goal for an away team. And then the pass to Cooper Kupp happens 3 plays later. I'm like, well.
Yeah, I mean, just a wild game. And both Brady and Rodgers go down earlier than expected, and we'll see what the future holds. We'll talk about them in a minute. All-time game, though, Chiefs and Bills, unreal game. And if you don't think the Bills are going to be a great team for years to come with Josh Allen, then you're wrong, because Josh Allen is excellent. Gabriel Davis is really good. Diggs still there. And that's going to be – they got to get one of those games against the Chiefs in the playoffs in Buffalo.
Well, I don't – he barely targeted Diggs. Diggs had 3 catches for 7 yards, and he had his longest catch was for 5. So,
yeah, I mean, I think
Beasley had 6 catches for 60 or something, and then Davis had his 9 for 200 and whatever, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was the Chiefs were probably a lot more worried about Diggs and the way they covered him. You would think.
And losing Matt or the Honey Badger early.
Yeah.
Hurt the Chiefs' defense.
Yep. The extension of plays by Mahomes and Allen in this game were ridiculous. I mean, they were running all over the place. Really wore down the defenses of both teams. And the Chiefs, brilliant, 13 seconds left. And Andy Reid showing how important it is to have multiple timeouts in that situation.
Yeah.
And
they had all of them going into that drive, right?
Yep. Yeah, they did. And then Butker with a huge kick, one of the best kickers in the game. And you kind of figured whoever wins the toss probably wins the game given the defenses in that game. So,
and since that game ended, I've seen so many tweets and stuff about what if baseball, someone in the top of the 10th had a home run and the home team didn't get the at bat. That's not how the game's played. This has been the rules in the NFL for a tiebreaker forever.
I just wish it was a little bit different in the playoffs.
But it's baseball has their rules.
Yeah, that's a stupid analogy. I don't understand.
And they added in the guy to second base now, right?
Yeah, which I'm fine with to get the games over with because baseball's a garbage sport. But a great game, all-time game. So
the only thing I think the Bills need is either linemen or a stud running back. Because Singletary has his moments or whatever, but then they bring other guys in like Breida and I forgot who else they had. I had him on my team for a while.
Zach Moss.
Yeah, but then they made him a healthy scratch and had Breida. Jerick McKinnon is normally known as a scat back, and he was running defenders over.
Yeah, I like the Bills secondary. I mean, remember, Tre'Davious White got hurt on Thanksgiving, and he's a top 5 corner in the game. So if they would have had him, it might have been a different story against somebody like Tyreek Hill, who ran all over them. But
and then to give up that route to Kelsey, I know, you want to defend the boundary, but someone's got to be on the inside of that.
Yep, I agree. But Chiefs get it done. This is the 4th straight AFC title game that they'll host. And it'll take place this Sunday, championship weekend, What are the matchups we got?
You got the Bengals at the Chiefs at 2:00. Another 2 and 5:30 games
I like that. Yeah.
And then you got the Niners at the Rams.
Rematch from Week 18 where the Niners fans took over SoFi.
And then if the Rams win this, they'll be the second team to play at their own stadium in a
second year in a row, yeah. With the Bucs doing it last year, but some interesting coaching and front office moves to discuss here.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean Payton stepping away from the Saints, not that surprising to me.
Yeah, and he worded it weird, like he didn't retire.
Here's what I think is going to happen.
He's still signed through 2024.
Yeah,
if another team wants him to be their coach, they have to work a trade out.
Yeah, so I think for the time being, he's going to be on TV as an analyst on Fox probably, because I've heard rumblings about Aikman's contract at Fox and what might happen there. So maybe he becomes one of their top guys. And I think that's probably a good move.
Do you put him with Buck or who's Breeze signed through?
NBC, he'll probably be the replacement for Collinsworth eventually, if I had to guess.
I was thinking of like you put Breeze and Payton together.
Yeah, I mean.
Or Payton and
do they replace Dungy on NBC for Sean Payton in studio?
Put Payton with Romo?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder who's going to sign him. I think he'll be what if Monday Night Football wants him? What if ESPN wants him?
Yeah, I was just going by him and Romo, both EIU guys.
Say what you want about Gruden, but he was very good on Monday Night Football. So he's proof that a former coach can be good on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I think it could be interesting with Romo and Payton as they're both Eastern Illinois alums. Payton was the one who got Jerry Jones to sign Romo, and he got him to do it for $10,000 cheaper. I don't know if you heard that story from Romo.
Yeah, I've heard parts of that.
Romo says Payton owes him $10,000 because he had an offer, whatever, and then Payton called him, and Romo said $20,000, I'll come to Dallas. And he went and asked Jerry Jones, and Jerry said, all right. And Payton comes back and calls Romo and says, he's stuck at 10. And Romo went there anyway. So Payton saved him $10,000 on a signing bonus to get Romo to come to Dallas.
Not bad.
But you compare either of those guys up, I just think it'd be neat with a former coach of a player together.
Yeah, I feel like it's inevitable that the replacement for Mike McCarthy in Dallas is probably going to be Sean Payton, because we all know how much Jerry Jones likes Sean Payton. And I think that once McCarthy's done in Dallas, I think Sean Payton's going to be the number one guy if he doesn't have another job. So we'll see. But there's a couple other moves, huh?
Yeah, you had the Bears are set to hire the Chiefs executive director of player personnel, Ryan Poles, as their new GM.
So they signed another GM with the name Ryan Pace.
Yeah.
Fired Ryan Poles.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, they don't want to change the name on the door very much. You just got to take 3 letters off.
And another guy from the Chiefs, like that worked out last time when you got Matt Nagy.
Yeah, at least this is a GM, not a coach.
Yeah, and they seem to be much better at getting talent in Kansas City than coaching for the most part.
And then Kawesi Adofo-Mensah is favored to be the next Vikings GM. He's currently the Browns vice president of player or football operations.
Yeah, I know nothing about him, but the current front office of the Browns has gotten a ton of talent in the draft and free agency.
And then lastly, the Ravens supposedly to close close to an extension with Harbaugh, who is entering his final year of his 4-year deal from 2019.
Not surprising, but they'll be in the market for a new defensive coordinator, Don Martindale, being out in Baltimore.
And then on to this, Brady away coming back with his family. Says a little time.
I'm leaning that he retires. That's just the feeling that I get.
The quotes he's had in the last couple of days almost seems like it, where he's like, "Well, my wife. Every time I get hit, my wife's in pain."
everybody knows that Giselle wants him to retire and has wanted him to retire for years. So I wonder if he just does it. I mean, he's a free agent, right? He's not under contract. He signed a 2-year deal with Tampa.
Correct.
Yeah, I wonder if he just hangs him up.
The only thing I could think is he waits to see what the Bucks keep or who they keep.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. I could see him retiring, though. I don't know.
Because
Kind of
Godwin
leaning
becomes
towards
a
that.
free agent, but I have a feeling they franchise tag him again.
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
I don't know how you let Godwin go.
Is he going to be ready for next season? It's going to be close, right? Because he got hurt in December. I don't think you can, as a receiver, 9 months.
I mean, if a running back did it in 4.
Yeah, but that's an Achilles. It's a little bit different. I don't think it was that severe of an Achilles. A knee injury for a receiver has got to be. I think October would be.
How long was Odell out?
I don't remember. Was his an ACL or was it an Achilles? Yeah, I don't know. But Godwin's got to be a close call to whether he's back in time for the season.
With the way surgeries and everything go now,
Yeah, but
I'm just saying you don't know.
Yeah, the position matters too. Like, look at someone like David Bakhtiari, tried to come back after 13 months and had trouble. It also depends on, other parts. Like, do you have any other ligaments that are messed up or fluid in the area? So that's, another thing to think about.
And then your guy Rodgers, his decision may come down to the franchise tag, if they tag Devontae Adams or not. And if not, they're talking maybe their package deal where they both go somewhere else together.
Yeah, my feeling on this is Adams is not going anywhere. I think he's either going to be extended. They got to do a lot of things with the cap because they're way over the cap right now, but they'll be able to make some cuts, which probably includes both Preston and Zadarius Smith. But I get the feeling that Devontae's going to be back no matter what. For Rodgers,
both of these quarterbacks said they didn't want to be part of a rebuild.
Yeah, and rightfully so. They shouldn't have to be. But for Rodgers, I think with what I've heard and what I've seen, I really feel like it's either returning to the Packers for the last year of his contract or retiring. I don't see them trading him. I really don't, unless they just mutually agree, because he's going to meet with the front office, I'm sure, within the next month. Unless they mutually agree, like, okay, let's try to find a place for me to be traded, I don't see them trading him. And I feel like the Packers are not going to be rebuilding because they still have a lot of good pieces on this roster. Even with cap issues, they're still, if Rodgers and Adams are back, they're always going to be competitive because on defense, Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage, Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, none of those guys are going anywhere. And that is pretty good anchors on each part of your defense. So right now I'm leaning return to the Packers or retire for Rodgers. I don't see him being on another team. And if I'm wrong, then the Packers got a good draft pick, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of what he said on Pat McAfee's thing, was that he's just going to wait till the franchise tag deadline and see what they do before he makes his decision.
Yeah, and I don't think Devontae wants to be franchise tagged. I don't really think anybody does, but I think that they're going to have to if they don't get an extension done.
And the question is, if they say they don't with Adams, where did those two go together?
Denver.
Yeah, imagine being that coach. You just get hired in Denver, and then you get hand-delivered Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams.
Well, if they want Rodgers and Adams, then they should hire Nathaniel Hackett, who's one of the finalists, the Packers offensive coordinator. Keep Rodgers in the same system.
And then he also already has Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, and Tim Patrick.
I feel like they would trade one of those receivers back to Green Bay if they got Devontae.
Yeah, it wouldn't be Jerry Jeudy or KJ Hamler.
Maybe Cortland Sutton or Tim Patrick, one of those two. Yeah,
but
I'd rather have Sutton. But
I mean, Sutton goes to Green Bay. He still has then Adams, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler.
It's probably better than what he has in Green Bay. Yeah.
And then who's their tight end? Iowa guy, right?
Noah Fant and Albert Okwe-Ibenam.
Yeah, Noah Fant, an Iowa guy.
Yeah. But their line's similar to Green Bay. Probably not as good right now. They have a running back, Javonte Williams. They have their defense. I mean, you would think is going to be pretty good, but their front's not as good as usual Denver teams are. So I don't know. I mean,
hey, and speaking of which, you dogged the Rams on the whole Von Miller thing, and he's worked out since he's been healthy after his foot.
yeah, I mean, good for him. Made some big plays.
When you have him on one side and Floyd on the other, and then Donald in the middle, there's a lot to pay attention to.
Yeah, it's an issue, no doubt.
And then the Chiefs signing or trading for Melvin Ingram has worked out great for them.
Yeah, they needed somebody to kind of take a little bit of pressure off of Chris Jones, who changes the game completely, similar to what like Frank Clark did for them or D Ford. So that's worked out. Not surprising that that's worked out.
Yeah, but I mean, like he was one who came out of college, played really good in the Chargers, then fell off, and now has like got a new spark to him. And
yeah, winning.
I don't think they'd give up much to get him.
No, I don't. I was a late pick.
And then the last thing for the NFL, Ronald Torbert to be a lead referee for the Super Bowl. He just did the Packers-Niners game.
Yeah, no complaints there.
It was his sixth playoff game since becoming a lead referee in 2014. He was a side judge in 2010 through 2013.
Good for him.
He's done 4 wild card games and 2 division games, which is crazy to think that a guy who's, in 8 years only done 6 playoff games.
Yeah.
I mean, there are 17 crews.
Yep.
And he's not working with anybody else from his crew in this. I think they take guys from how many refs? Like 9 refs or something.
That sounds right. I mean, it's like the Pro Bowl for the refs in terms of honors. More all-pro is more so the real thing, but
his crew was like 4th in the league in penalties.
I mean, that's
like lowest amount of penalties per game,
which is good. Less penalties, better, no doubt.
Yeah, but that was his crew. Now he's getting a mix of all these other guys. But you would think if it's the best 9 refs,
the other refs won't have very many penalties called either.
Yeah, like you think it. When they put the crew together, they're doing it to make it like the best possible game.
Best of the best, yeah. All right, on to golf.
You had the American Express last week. The winner, Hudson Swafford, won $1.4 million, shot 23 under.
Solid effort.
And this weekend you have the Farmers Insurance Open, defending champion Patrick Reed at Torrey Pines North and South Course in La Jolla, California.
Yeah, getting another look at Torrey Pines since the U.S. Open last year. That was won by John Rahm. A lot of good players in the field this week, so we'll make our picks later on. Now we go to collegiate hoops, where we have an AP top 10, which could be changing again within minutes, I would think.
You had Auburn jump Gonzaga to number 1. Gonzaga drops to 2. Arizona stays at 3. Baylor goes up 1-4. Kansas up 3-5. Purdue dropped 2-6. Houston up 3-7. UCLA up 2-8. Duke dropped 3-9. Michigan State up 4-10. Who lost? And surprisingly, at number 25, Davidson sit at 16-2.
Yeah, they're a dangerous team in the Atlantic 10. They're not the team that I would have expected to be in the top 25 in January out of the Atlantic 10 going into the season. I think most people would have assumed St. Bonaventure, but St. Bonaventure just didn't have any depth. And Davidson has that, and Davidson is back, folks. And then you also have number 3 Arizona playing number 7 UCLA as we record this on Tuesday night, by the way. So electric game.
Shortly before we recorded this, Illinois beat number 10 Michigan State at home without Kofi and Curbelo.
Yeah, signature win for Brad Underwood. Coming off of 2 straight losses, needed to win one. Don't have your clear best player is Kofi, but then you don't have another key contributor, which is Curbelo. Just a gritty effort and a big win. They're 7-2 in the Big Ten now, so racking up wins as the schedule gets harder.
Yeah, why did these 2 miss?
Kofi has a concussion that he suffered against Purdue, so he's missed the last 2 games. They lost to Maryland without him the first time. Then Curbelo, I believe, is a COVID-related issue.
And then Dickie V will miss the rest of the season after his surgery.
Yeah, he's still dealing with, I believe, I don't remember, it's cancer, but I don't know what cancer it is. I should know this, but definitely best wishes to him, no doubt. One of the all-time greats.
I mean, it's just weird listening to some games and knowing that he's not doing it where he normally would.
Yeah, that's one great thing I love about college basketball is the amount of great commentators that we have that make you feel like you know it's March when you hear some of these guys, or you know it's February or January or some of these big games. Dickie V's at the top of the list. Bill Raftery is there. I mean, there's tons of guys.
It'd be nice, like it just says, he'd miss the rest of the season. It'd be nice, like if he was able to get to like March Madness and do some of those games.
Yeah.
Maybe not do the full slate that he normally would, but just, some games.
I'd like to hear him once, yeah.
Auburn, first time number 1 in school history or the history of the AP poll.
Really good team. Tried to lose to Missouri tonight, but they won, and they're really good.
Yeah, and they came back and won Saturday.
Kentucky.
Was it at Kentucky?
No, it was at Auburn. That game, Kentucky was up 9 late in the first half. Then Ty Washington, who's the point guard for Kentucky, went down with an ankle injury, which completely changed the game. I think Kentucky might have won that game if he stays there, if he stays healthy. They have no offense without Ty Washington.
And then the Colonial Athletic Association adding 3 teams to the conference beginning July 1st. They're going to be adding Hampton, Monmouth, and Stony Brook.
Also notable is the Missouri Valley is adding Illinois Chicago. So big move for UIC. Lots of different shifts in mid-major basketball. I think it's great overall.
Yeah,
it'll be exciting to see.
The Colonials, they're losing 1 team. James Madison, I think, is leaving. They end up having 12 teams, 13 for football.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then baseball, David Ortiz, welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean,
is this his first ballot?
Yeah, the Hall of Fame voting is so stupid, so ridiculous. Like
just one guy?
Yeah, then last year was nobody. I mean, the whole thing's a joke.
But Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens shut out in their last shot.
Yeah, I mean, only baseball could have like the all-time home run leader, the all-time hits leader, and then a dude who won 7 Cy Youngs and not have them in the Hall of Fame. Just so stupid. I don't care.
I mean, I saw Jeff Passan. He tweeted something about Barry Bonds about the home run thing.
Yeah,
but it's like if you're gonna make him in, you've got to go back and put Pete Rose in.
Yeah, and how about David Ortiz? Absolutely had PED issues at some point in his career, no doubt about it. But his public image is great. Everybody likes Big Papi, so he's in. That's stupid.
I also didn't know that he started in the Mariners organization.
Yeah, he took him a little bit to get going there.
In like 92, and then he was in the Twins.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if it was when Theo Epstein got to Boston is when they brought him in.
I feel like it might have been before. I don't remember, though. But, I mean, the whole thing's ridiculous. Hopefully Scott Rowland gets in next year. He deserves it. He's climbing up. But they act like it's this sacred thing when it's just not anymore. Like it used to be, but it's not anymore.
How many opportunities do you have?
10. And then you go to a different – like there's a different committee that lets people in. Now Bonds and Clemens are on that. But I'm pretty sure all those guys are geezers, old guys. They're not going to let them in. So the dweebs aren't letting them in. Now the geezers aren't going to let them in. And then they're done. So only baseball could make themselves look this stupid. But hopefully they have fun missing games due to a stupid lockout this year, and their entire sport's going to be ruined. And honestly, it's going to be kind of funny. But on to the next national.
And as you guys can tell, Ethan's really excited for baseball.
And the stupidest thing is I have all this Cardinal stuff behind me, like I'm a big baseball fan. I'm just losing, everything for the game. I'm losing it.
I got 2, or I got a bunch of Cardinals.
Baseball, Major League Baseball is making me hate baseball. So what can you do? The NHL, Keith Yandel, Flyers defenseman, sets NHL record for consecutive games played at 965, breaking a record set by Doug Jarvis, who didn't miss a game from the time he was drafted until the 964th game that he played.
And I saw someone post on Facebook about this. They thought he had actually missed a game when he was in Florida and Quenneville was a coach.
There was a threat that he was going to miss a game because of his healthy scratch.
Quenneville did a healthy scratch or whatever, and then someone else got hurt or sick or something in the pregame skate or whatever.
Yeah.
And Yandel had to play he was an emergency player. He had to play.
Yeah, so that was
big. Quenneville tried to break this on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, Quenneville, we all know how big of a scumbag he is now, but what can you do? So congrats to Yans.
To try breaking a really good defenseman's streak on games played
would have been a joke. Yeah.
And then it was either that game or the next game he scored like 2 goals.
Remember, he's another part of the streak a couple seasons ago when he got like 4 teeth knocked out, and then they were on the front end of a back-to-back, so he had to have like emergency dental procedure, then was able to play the game the next day after the surgery. So tough player.
I keep seeing the Dallas wants to get rid of one of their old defensemen.
John Klingberg, I believe. He wants out. We'll see if it actually happens. But
supposedly everyone says that the Boston's hunting hard for him.
He'd be a solid fit. Put him as the second pairing right defenseman behind McAvoy. I feel like that'd be a good fit. Klingberg's good. It's just he's lost a little bit of his game over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, he just needs to find a better role.
And Dallas is a team that already has pretty lethal defensemen up front. I mean, they can still use Klingberg, but I think other teams might be able to use him more.
But college football. Ex-Georgia wide receiver Jermaine Burton transferring to Alabama.
Yeah, go from the team that you beat in the national championship.
Maybe he knows they don't have a shot next year for a natty, so let's transfer to get another one.
They're going to have a very good team, and they already got Keyshawn Booty, or whatever his name is, Booty, the receiver from LSU transferring. So Alabama is going to be about 10 times more talented next season than they were this season.
And their other 2 receivers, they got hurt.
Mechie and Williams.
Yeah, they're not leaving.
I'd assume one of them is going to leave. Jameson Williams is probably a first-round pick.
I didn't think they were old enough.
I think Jameson Williams is. He transferred from Ohio State. I think he was a sophomore last year. I think he's a junior now. So I think he'll be gone. I don't know about Mechie. But
depending on his injury, though, do you go to the NFL with that?
Yeah, I think you do.
You stay a year?
I think you got to go.
We'll see on that. But Burton was second in the team's yards at 497, which shows
running
how bad their passing game was. And he was also second in touchdowns at 5.
Yeah.
And then a surprise move, ex-Ravens coach Billick is joining Herm Edwards' ASU staff as their offensive analyst and advisor.
Yeah, I don't know. This will be interesting. Interesting to see. See if they get better.
And why did I totally forget his first name?
Brian Billick?
Yeah.
Not sure.
I knew it was a B. For some reason, I kept thinking Bill. I'm like, there's no way it's Bill Billick.
Yeah, could be. I mean, not impossible.
But a guy you really haven't heard much from since he retired.
Yeah, I've heard a couple interviews, him talking ball, but other than that, not much.
Oregon's running back Dye transferred to USC.
Yeah, he's a traitor. Benedict Arnold.
So now they got him now, and they got was it Jerry Rice's son that we talked about last week?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah,
that he transferred from Colorado.
Yep.
Yeah, Brendan Rice.
Lincoln Riley adding some dynamic talent to that team. We'll see.
And lastly, Timmy Chang is the next coach at Hawaii.
Yeah, that program's a disaster. The only time anybody ever hears from Hawaii football is the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve.
I mean, you had their head coach resign because of his issues. Then they tried getting their best record coach, who lives in Hawaii still. He denied it instantly, so they didn't want to.
Yeah.
Timmy Chang's a former Hawaii quarterback. He's the one who really started their passing game, record-breaking, until they had, what's his name, Colt Brennan.
Yeah.
Who came in and slung the ball. He was after Chang. Chang's bounced around in coaching. He was last this past year wide receiver coach at Colorado State. I mean, we'll see.
Interesting hire for a program that's in shambles. So we'll see if they get better.
Yeah, it's like they just wanted to stay in house. Like, let's bring back our quarterback who was that broke a lot of records and started our whole passing scheme down here in Hawaii.
I think it's also let's give it to somebody who has some sort of experience and will actually take it. I think is another factor, no doubt. But let's do the picks. 9-5 for me last week, 1-3 in the NFL, 5-1 in college hoops, 1-1 in the NBA, 2-0 in the NHL, and nothing with the golf. I'm 320 and 270 overall now.
I was also 9-5, 1-1 in the NBA, 2-0 in hockey, 3-3 in college hoops, and I was 3-1 in the NFL. Only lost the Bucks game.
Yeah, I overthought that.
Didn't get anything in golf. I'm now 324 and 273.
All right, the Farmers Insurance Open from Torrey Pines. My picks overall, I will take Justin Thomas plus 1,200 to win, Dustin Johnson plus 2,500, and any opportunity I get Max Homa plus 6,000 to win in the state of California, I will take it. Top 5, John Rahm plus 160. Top 10, Jordan Spieth plus 350. Better hit one of these. We'll see.
I as well took Justin Thomas at plus 1,200. I took Hideki Matsuyama at plus 1,800 and Sungjae M at plus 3,000. Sungjae's been playing pretty well so far this year. Top 5, I have Jordan Spieth at plus 350, and top 10, Dustin Johnson plus 250. Pretty sure this is his first tournament of the year.
Yeah, I think so. NHL picks for Wednesday night games. I will take the Leafs minus 280 home against the Ducks, and the Avalanche, who've been hot at home, minus 180 over the Bruins.
I took the Blue Jackets plus 160 over Calgary, and the Red Wings minus 125 over the Blackhawks.
All right, NBA Wednesday night. Give me the Knicks plus 6 at the Heat, the Grizzlies minus 3 at the Spurs.
I as well took the Grizzlies minus 3 over the Spurs, and I took the Hornets minus 1.5 over the Pacers.
All right, college hoops, Thursday games. I will take San Francisco to beat St. Mary's and Hofstra to beat Charleston.
Taking Wisconsin at Nebraska, taking Wisconsin, and Stanford at USC, taking USC.
All right, Friday, give me Boise State to stay hot, beat Fresno State, and Ohio to beat Buffalo in the MAC.
Taking Wyoming at Air Force, and UNLV at Colorado State, taking Colorado State.
Saturday, loaded slate as is usually at the Big 12 SEC Challenge. I'm taking one of those games. Give me Kentucky to beat Kansas. Kansas been knocking on the door to lose a game recently. I think they finally get beat here, and then give me Oregon.
But is Ty back, or
he wasn't back tonight, but he got a few days here. Maybe he could be back.
I could just see that changing that game.
Yeah, it could. I think it could certainly. Give me Oregon, who's surging, who just beat Washington on Sunday night by about 1 billion to beat Oregon State.
I'm taking LaSalle at Davidson, taking Davidson, and then Evansville at Missouri State, taking Missouri State.
All right, NFL Conference Championships, AFC Championship, Chiefs, Bengals, Arrowhead. I'm taking the Chiefs minus 7. I just don't see it. I want the Bengals to win very badly. I'm now a lifelong Bengals fan for the next week. I want them to win, but I think the Chiefs win.
I've had the spread sitting here. I haven't even circled one yet because I don't know.
Bengals beat them a couple weeks ago, but I don't think that matters.
I'm taking the Bengals plus 7.
I can see them covering, yeah. I still don't look at the Chiefs' defense as that good. If Tyrann Mathieu's back, though, that's going to change things. NFC title game.
Niners at Rams.
At Rams. And the Rams have not beaten the 49ers in like 3 or 4 seasons, I believe. So naturally, I'm going to take the Niners to cover. I did tweet that the Rams would win by 1, but the Niners plus 3.5 is where I'm going.
I've been, against the Rams at 3.5 spreads because they got me 2 weeks in a row. I'm taking the Rams. Matt Stafford is getting to a Super Bowl.
We'll see. We will see. The Rams are an all-in team. We'll see if they actually get there and get it done. And should be an interesting week of sports. And we'll be back to cover it next week for number 49. This was the Sports Mashup number 48. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
Deuces.